Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And PerGron.
And yes, monkey, this shall indeed ought to be good. Tonight, we are doing something very special, folks. And this, I'm going to assume that this is going to be a part of a series. Because here's the deal, PerGron. I have unlocked something from 2007. And I'm not going to tell you guys the source of where I got it from. It is an ancient forum that I will never give you guys the link to. Instead, I will drip feed this content to you guys. It's the lost passages of Tiki's So You Want to Be an Imagineer internet courier.
Oh no.
Yeah, be very afraid. Part of that, PerGron, is questionable movie takes.
Woo! We all have them.
All right. Kogios, yeah, when I saw you in the chat, you said Alvin and Chipmunks better be high on the list. I mean,
it is.
It is high on the list.
It's a very high number.
All right. And PerGron, the reason why I'm doing this with you is because, honestly, you doing what you're doing right now, which is just going out of your way to see literally everything that comes into theaters, also going out of your way to add on-demand stuff to your credits, if you will, streaming titles, anything. Very much like, it's almost even more ambitious than I was back in the day, but I remember this year in particular, PerGron, I had a deluxe membership, whatever, the highest membership you could get for Hollywood Video, where you could just rent movies for, for free, for basically pay $20 a month and rent however movies you wanted at Hollywood Video. I had that. I was going in and out, renting literally everything that came out. Any new release movie that I hadn't seen yet that had been in theaters coming to my Hollywood Video that was an event. 2007, man, and what a year to start my movie journey, because 2007 just happens to be, for my money, one of the best movie years ever. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was 8 in 2007, but I have since caught a lot of these movies. I haven't seen everything on your list. There's actually a pretty good chunk I haven't. But of most of, the top 50 at least that I've seen, 2007 was a really solid year. I didn't realize a lot of these movies came out that year.
So let's get started. Blood and Chocolate, PerGron. Have you do you know of Blood and Chocolate?
I know of it. It has never been one that I've dared.
No, I just remember, basically the only thing I remember about it was it felt like one long emo punk band music video.
Oh, fun.
Yes. Alvin and the Chipmunks. Look, here's the thing about Alvin and the Chipmunks. I acknowledge that it shouldn't be this low on the list. Honestly,
yeah, it's not the squeakquel here, Tiki, okay?
Right. Well, no, the thing is, it does have its moments. I feel like as, because I was 2007, what was I? I must have been a junior in high school at that point. So I think I was at that age where I was very reluctant. I was very anti any movie of this type that had this type of humor. And I also remember, as we're going to get into with some of these low-hanging picks here, I was dragged to this movie by a friend. I actually see a couple other movies just even on this low section that I was dragged into by this friend, and that definitely contributed to it.
Right.
Monkey said even I thought the squeakquel was inferior.
Hey, both of them, they're not the road chip, okay? That one's the worst one.
Wait, the Blood and Chocolate screenwriter did Dumbo 2019? I mean, that kind of checks out. Honestly, both of those movies feel like fever dreams. Okay, the Reapy and the Hills Have Eyes too. I have next to nothing to say about them. They're just, from what I remember, they're both just complete trash, disposable horror movies. Just
We get so many of those every fucking year.
right, yeah.
There,
So we can just.
there need to be less horror movies ever. Like I love horror. Horror
It's
is my
funny because
preferred
you and I
genre.
are both big fans of the genre, but we also are not fans of this genre. Missy, you're
Shit,
right.
you
I
are
am missing
missing
number 6.
116.
Oh my god. That throws the whole thing off. We're just gonna pretend that didn't happen, okay?
Number 116 was. Let me just randomly generate a 2007 movie. Your number 116.
Yes.
Picking one that I'm just gonna go like IMDb's bottom.
Okay.
Just whatever. You have a lot of these on the list already. Hold on. Did you watch My Blueberry Nights? Is that on this list?
I know.
All right, that's number 116.
There we go. Okay, moving on. The game plan. Do you know what the game plan is?
I nostalgically love the game plan.
You know what? That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
Like again, I was 8. I remember seeing the
This
game
was
plan
another
in
one that
theater.
I was dragged to by said friend. So, that's my excuse for hating it. But I could see this being a fun time if you were a kid, for sure.
Yeah, like this was. I was 8. The Rock was not annoying yet. The dog was cute. I remember the dog a lot. I think it's a fine, if not good, family movie that I have a nostalgic attachment to.
All right, 114 is probably my first big hot take. PerGron, going into Mr. Bean's holiday, knowing nothing about Mr. Bean as a character, nothing. I was going in completely cold. I could not stand Mr. Bean's holiday, the one and only time I saw it. But here's the thing, as Kogias is pointing out, it has Willem Dafoe. Mr. Bean's Holiday is one of those movies where there's a few of them on here. I am sure if I went back and rewatched it, they would be way, way, way higher on the list than they are.
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, again, another movie I watched as a child, and I liked it. I thought it was funny.
Right.
Granted, I haven't seen it probably since 2007, but I remember liking it.
So honestly, Primeval, looking at this list, it's trash. It should honestly be maybe one notch below Blood and Chocolate. Like it's about a dinosaur crocodile, and I remember next to nothing about it except the premise.
Yeah, this is one of the ones I haven't seen.
Smoking Aces. Smoking Aces. I remember it got a good review at the time, and I feel like I maybe wasn't in the right headspace for it, but I don't know. I just didn't really care for it. Okay, Tyler Perry's Daddy's Little Girls. Classic Tyler Perry movie. Yeah, this one just reeked of desperation on my part. Okay, Codename the Cleaner. Do you remember Codename the Cleaner?
I do not.
Okay, that was a Cedric the Entertainer spy comedy.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah, it was.
That doesn't sound like a very good time.
Indeed, you're not wrong. It was very, very generic.
Neither does Tyler Perry's Daddy's Little Girl. That feels like it should be on a list. Like, not this list. Like, on a very different list.
Oh, man. Okay, Teddy says, it's okay, Tiki. 2007 was a weird time for all of us. Dark times, my friend. Dark times. Woodcock was rough. I agree with your point. We'll get there. Pathfinder, I literally remember nothing about it. I think it might be an Uwe Boll video game adaptation or something. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I don't think it's Uwe Boll, but it is like a video game thing.
Okay, fair enough. The Condemned, just trash horror. Remember nothing about it. Mr. Woodcock, I do remember hating. That is Billy Bob Thornton playing like a mean gym teacher or something stupid like that. Just Billy Bob Thornton throwing away his talents.
Typical.
Rob Zombie's Halloween.
I've seen this one.
Yeah, okay.
I think this one's a bad Halloween movie. I don't think it's this low, but I don't think it's a very good Halloween movie.
The new Halloween movies look very, very good in comparison, honestly. I think it's a very trashy take on Michael Myers, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really love Halloween to begin with. If this says anything, and this is a hot take for me, my favorite Halloween movie is the third one. So
I would like to revisit the third one at some point. I've only seen it one time, but I think I could get really into it, honestly.
Yeah, like I'm not a Michael Myers fan, but this movie butchers Michael Myers. And he's supposed to be the one butchering.
Okay, Delta Farce. That is a Larry the Cable Guy movie about the Iraq War.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So you can just imagine how fucking good that went, dude.
And that got a 3 out of 10?
I'm low-key, I'm honestly surprised. Honestly, I kind of feel like the reason why it's as high as it is because that movie literally became a running gag between my friends and I about how bad it was. All right, Hannibal Rising. That movie is still painful for me to think about because of how boring it is. And the Hannibal TV series kind of shows, like, I haven't watched the Hannibal TV series myself, but I know it's one of those shows that I should eventually catch up on. Mm-hmm. But that TV series shows that a Hannibal prequel can be done really well, and this is just not it.
No, it is not.
Fracture. I literally know nothing about it. Firehouse Dog. How the fuck is Firehouse Dog, or Happily Never After for that matter, as high as they are? Let's talk.
A better question: how the fuck is Firehouse Dog not number 1 of 2007? I mean,
okay, Firehouse Dog. I literally remember one of my best friends, who was like one of the few people who kept up with movies as much as I did, told me when we were out of high school, like, Tyler, I lost a little bit of respect for you when you told us that you had to go home and watch Firehouse Dog and review it for your website. I was like, come on, man. Like, I get that you have an appreciation for movies, but that's taking it too far.
Firehouse Dog, the classic starring Josh Hutcherson.
Josh Hutcherson. That is specifically why I watched it, is the Hutcherson thing. We'll talk about Hutcherson far later on in this list with Terabithia. That was Josh Hutcherson's big popping off point for me, anyway. Okay, Delta Farce getting higher rating than Mr. Bean is a hot take. Okay, let's see. So, Happily Never After, the only thing I remember about it is that it's like yet another like rip-off Shrek where they're parodying fairy tales, because that was a totally original idea in 2007.
Yeah, after we got 2 great Shrek movies.
But the animation was hideous on Happily Never After.
Yeah, it was like Shrek was ugly.
Number 100. Here we go. This blows my mind. Number 100 is none other. This isn't a typo. This is indeed the host that you're thinking of. It is Bong Joon-ho's The Host.
That's insane.
Here's the thing. I feel like I was just being a stupid teenager, and I expected just like a big dumb monster movie, and I was like, ew, why is there artsy shit in my monster movie? Like, this version of Tiki, the one that you're talking to now, would never rate this movie this low. This is one of the most insane takes of how crazily different my movie takes were back then compared to now.
Yeah, now that I realize it's that The Host, and not
it
like
is that The Host.
I thought this was like some direct to VOD horror movie.
Or probably some people probably thought it was the Stephanie Meyer's The Host.
Yeah, like this might be the worst take on this entire list.
No, it might be. It very much might be. I think you're right.
This might be the single worst take, like worse than Chipmunks.
Okay, the comebacks. I don't even remember what the fuck the comebacks is. I'm guessing it's some boring romantic comedy sports movie.
Let's see. The comebacks
Oh,
stars Carl Weathers. You're insulting the late Carl Weathers.
Jesus
And
Christ.
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper, really?
Tom Brady directed it. Not
Oh my god.
football Tom Brady.
Right.
Which he directed Rob Schneider's The Animal too.
Oh
So yeah,
dear.
this seems like a really, really high quality movie.
Okay,
It's
Live Free or Die Hard. This is a movie I vividly remember having a terrible experience in the movie theater because I hated every element of it, and honestly, I'm surprised that I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Is this the last Die Hard movie, or was there one after it? I can never remember.
There was one after it, which was even worse
Yeah,
somehow.
because I remember the last one being the worst one. But yeah, no.
Yeah, Live Free or Die. Here's the thing: Live Free or Die Hard. It has Justin Long. Justin Long is fun. I love me some Justin Long.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember that it was so watered down compared to what Die Hard was. And I remember being very, very offended at the fact that it was PG-13 Die Hard, and therefore they could not drop the F-bomb.
Mm-hmm.
When dropping the F-bomb was like really kind of like a big part of John McClane's character.
Right.
Like, I wasn't like a hardcore Die Hard fan, but I was a fan of just movie iconography in general, right? And if you're removing John McClane's yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, you're removing like a pivotal element of that character, right? It just felt wrong. And so the whole movie kind of felt like they were tap dancing around that.
Yeah. I mean, you got this wrong according to Rotten Tomatoes, which has this as a certified fresh 82% with an 86% audience
You know
score.
what? It's not poorly made. That's the thing. It's like for an action movie, it's slick. It's got the Justin Long in there. It's well edited. Kevin Smith pops up for a cameo. That's how Kevin Smith and Justin Long actually met each other. So it's got its merits. Yeah, I probably did rate it a little too low just based on me being a stickler about the
I mean,
thing.
below Norbit.
Well, we'll get there. Okay.
It also stars friend of the channel, or friend of the Armchair Imagineering channel, Cliff Curtis, who Jokers and I have turned into a meme, and I haven't been able to resurface. So,
all right, Premonition, Nick Cage, I Can See the Future movie. Not much to say about it.
it's a Nick Cage movie from 2007.
Exactly. Perfect Stranger, literally don't remember it. I assume it's some sort of throwaway thriller movie. We have to talk about Norbit, though. Here's the thing. Norbit fascinated me back then. It really did. It really did. Like, I totally acknowledge that it's trash. I acknowledge that it's trash back then. The fascinating thing about Norbit to me is the fact that it clearly is a movie that had effort put into it, just based on the quality of the makeup. I kid you not. The movie is trash, but the makeup effects are genuinely, like, they are trashy, but they are genuinely good. And it's an out there concept, but it's original. Like, I don't know. Norbit is definitely a trash movie for sure, but I feel like Norbit is kind of like Eddie Murphy's Freddy Got Fingered in a way.
Yeah. I mean, that's the most I've ever heard anybody defend Norbit. You might be the first person online to defend Norbit.
I'm not defending it. I'm saying it is trash. I'm just saying it's fascinating trash.
That's fair, I guess.
Okay, Stomp the Yard. Can you look up Stomp the Yard really quick and tell me if it's like a parody of a dancing movie or just a straight dancing movie?
No, it's just a straight up sequel to Stomp.
Oh my god, of course.
Which 5 out of 10. I mean, 94 and it's 5 out of 10. Your grading was very generous, I think.
It was. We'll get into that. Epic movie at 5 out of 10. That should not have happened. Epic movie should be near the bottom of this list, hands down, easily.
I honestly, I mean, I haven't seen all of the movies. It might be the worst one.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. Because I said so, I literally don't remember any fucking thing about it whatsoever. I
See,
assume it's a forgettable romantic comedy.
Because I Said So 2007 is a romantic comedy starring Diane Keaton and Mandy Moore.
Oh fuck! I somehow do remember that movie. It was like Diane Keaton was Mandy Moore, like mother and daughter, and oh god, okay, I don't know how I remember that movie. Anyways,
I agree with I think is that Monkey that you should go through all these movies again and re-rank them.
oh monkey, that's a good idea. I just don't think I like. I feel like we would be here for hours doing that on the podcast,
For-
and just it's just not economically feasible on the podcast.
Turn it into a new series.
It would also be funny to see Dragon's reaction to the list. Yeah, it would be. It would be. Okay, let's see. Evan Almighty. We need to talk Evan Almighty, man, because honestly, I am very surprised to have it as high as it is on this list. Because I was like personally offended by this movie. Dragon and I have had debates about this movie. I still to this day can't stand this movie.
I've seen Evan Almighty once, and I liked it because it was Noah's Ark, and that had animals in it.
Of course.
And I got this on DVD as a prize from my Cub Scout troop.
Oh my
god! For selling the most popcorn. And I love Bruce Almighty. Like I think Bruce Almighty.
No, that's the thing. I really like Bruce Almighty too. Bruce Almighty's a classic, and I think that's why this movie offends me as much as it does.
Yeah, I mean it grossed 174.4 million. That's insane.
It was the most expensive comedy ever made at that point. I vividly remember that statistic.
Yeah, it says that right here on Wiki.
It's
fucking insane. It's probably you had to train all the CGI animals, you know?
Monkey says he's still yet to see Bruce Almighty. Really? I'm kind of surprised, Monkey. I'm kind of surprised.
I think it's a comedy masterpiece, personally.
I think it's a classic. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, but I think it's definitely a classic of the era.
I hate comedy, so it's a comedy masterpiece.
That's fair. Okay, so Rush Hour 3. Do you have any hot takes about Rush Hour 3? Because I just remember it being very much just, yeah, it's more Rush Hour, but it's not as, the formula's kind of run its course at this point, and I'm kind of bored by it.
Yeah, I don't remember it being very good. I like the first Rush Hour a lot.
I feel like people usually say that Rush Hour 2 is the best, and I agree with that.
I don't know that I've ever seen the second one.
The second one's the first one that I saw. I saw the second one in theaters with my dad, and that did have some kick to it.
I probably have. It's just one of those movies that I've caught on like AMC.
All right, Kicking It Old School.
What is
this the parody? I want to say this is a parody.
Kicking It Old School stars Jamie Kennedy.
Yes. It's a parody, right? It's a Jamie Kennedy parody.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, this was some trash. This was some
like
trash.
a breakdancing movie.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds. I mean, it's school SKOOL. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Popstar Never Stop, Never Stoppin'. If Popstar Never Stop, Never Stoppin' was terrible.
If it wasn't the greatest movie ever made.
Like, seriously, people need to fucking that movie is great. But
I showed it to my sister for the first time ever this year, and she's watched it like 8 times now.
Awesome. All right. Okay, let's see. Ghost Rider, Blades of Glory. I feel like both of those are kind of just like traditional throwaway studio affair of the era. Not much to say about either of them.
I'd probably put them a little I guess this is the middle of the list, but I'd maybe put them a little higher. I like Ghost Rider. I like Nicolas Cage doing stupid shit.
I like Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance a lot more. That's the thing.
I could not tell you the difference between the two movies.
I think the difference is that Spirit of Vengeance has way more Nick Cage just going ape shit.
And Blades of Glory, that's the one with Owen Wilson, and he's a skater, right? Like an ice skater.
Correct. And John Heater is his rival.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like a worse dodgeball. So like, it's kind of fun.
All right. Okay, the last Mimsy, just total ET ripoff. I honestly don't even know why it's this high.
So I have a quick story about the last Mimsy.
Oh, do you? Okay.
I watched this movie on like we rented it during like an ice storm or something that winter.
All right.
And I remembered this movie for so fucking long. Like I remembered this movie, but I could not tell you who was in it, what it was called, or anything. To me, this was just lost media. And I had this image in my head of whatever. I don't even remember what the little ET thing was. I just remember the idea of the movie. And for so long, and until literally last year, when I was looking at Rainn Wilson's filmography, and I did the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen,
right.
And I'm like, that's the movie. That's the fuck. So I'd probably put this at number 1, just because of that.
You know what? That would be fair. I wouldn't blame you. All right. Vacancy. I remember this just being a very forgettable, like Stephen King-esque thriller movie. Not much to say there.
Yeah.
All right. The Hitcher. Same. Shooter. Same. Disturbia is actually an interesting one. That's Shia LaBeouf doing Rear Window. And honestly, I feel like that was one of Shia LaBeouf's better starring roles, honestly. I feel like that should maybe be even a little higher. I feel like that one holds up.
Yeah, I'd put this one a little higher, I think.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't give it more than a 6 out of 10, I don't think.
True.
I think you got the score right, just the placement wrong.
Fred Claus. Man, Fred Claus is honestly a movie I appreciate way more now than I did back then. I honestly think Fred Claus has held up a lot over time.
I mean, Paul Giamatti is Santa Claus.
Right. Honestly, this should be a lot higher than it is. I honestly think this is kind of a classic now.
Yeah, I mean, Ludacris, Kathy Bates, Kevin Spacey, so it's probably in the right spot.
Fair enough. Balls of fucking Fury. This movie is so fun. This movie has one of my favorite Christopher Walken performances.
I've never heard of this movie.
It's a ping pong movie. It's basically like dodgeball, but with ping pong. And martial arts, and Christopher Walken is like basically like the sensei of this martial arts dojo, and he's white. Look up a picture of Christopher Walken in this movie, please.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at it right now, and whoa.
Yeah, you need to see this movie.
This is as 2007 as it gets.
I know, right?
There is no way any of this would be allowed today. Like, people always say movies like that don't get made anymore, about like Blazing Saddles and shit. I feel like they could make a Blazing Saddles. They couldn't make this.
No,
this would not be allowed.
All right, Spider-Man 3. I actually think this movie is right where it needs to be, honestly.
I agree. I think
it is. Like this, I got right.
People have given too much credence to it because of the memes.
And
they forget how this is actually just a really bad Spider-Man movie. Like, they overdo it. It could have been good, but they just stuffed way too much, and it's probably.
If they would have just made it a Harry Osborn revenge movie, that's all it needed to be. And that's literally all it needed to be.
Sure, you can throw in, the Sandman for like a jailbreak, or for like a bank robbery scene or something. Just have like a bonus villain in there. That's fine. You didn't need to do the Venom. Right. And I know Sam Raimi didn't want to do Venom, so like I kind of
Venom.
Then he did it, so That said, I did for my boss's wedding. I learned the Bully Maguire
Oh my
dance.
god.
So without that movie, I wouldn't have been able to drunk Toby Maguire dance throughout the whole thing. So we got to give it a little.
Monkey says this one was his favorite of the three. Monkey, I could see it being your favorite of the three just because of the memes. And honestly, just because of the goofy tone it has, it does have a unique tone. I will give it that much.
It does, and it feels it does feel Sam Raimi. Like it feels kind of Evil Dead for kids.
All right,
If that makes
now I'm
sense.
seeing Next, and Next literally is also like look up Next because I feel like that's another Nicolas Cage sees the future movie. I literally feel like there's two of them.
It is that.
It's it's another Nicolas Cage. What the fuck?
Well, you know how like back in the 2007s through the early 2010s, you would get like pairs of movies, like
Yeah. But this is
a
like the
White House
same
Down and
actor,
Olympus Has Fallen. Like this is just you had the two Attacks on the White House movies, you had the two Madagascar ripoffs, you had the two Nick Cage Sees the Future movies.
Oh man, that's nuts. Okay. The astronaut farmer, I just remember this being a really boring Billy Bob Thornton astronaut movie. He's a farmer and he's an astronaut.
Yeah, they did that better with The Martian.
I'm honestly surprised this is as high as it is. I don't even like The Martian that much. I think I Love My Wife. This is basically like one of those Chris Rock adult comedy movies about social themes and whatnot. For those kind of movies, he does it relatively well. I think the movie Top 5 is a lot better. That's like basically like the kind of sibling movie to this one for Chris Rock. It's decent, honestly. Music and lyrics I want to talk about. This is a Hugh Grant romantic comedy where Hugh Grant plays the aging head member of a boy band. And PerGron, this has one of the most glorious original songs that I have ever seen in a movie. It's called Pop! Exclamation point Goes My Heart. The movie literally cold opens with a cheesy ass music video with Hugh Grant in full boy band gear. It's fucking amazing. That music video is literally the only reason why this movie is as high as it is, but I still stand by people need to look up Pop Goes My Heart for music and lyrics, please. I beg of you. It's fucking awesome. All right. Pride, I remember just being a very boring classroom movie. How the fuck is I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry as high on this as it is? That's fucking insulting. That honestly might be a worse take than the host, honestly.
It's up there for sure.
I mean, 7 out of 10. I don't know what I was fucking.
Yeah,
I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
putting this over a lot of the movies that you just
the fact that it's a 7 out of 10, man. Just that score alone.
Yeah, man. You were really generous to be giving out 7 out of 10s at the 74 mark.
Okay, the Bourne Ultimatum, honestly, I kind of stick by this one. I thought the Bourne Ultimatum was super overrated when it came out, and I still think it's pretty overrated.
Is that the one with Renner, or is that...
No. That's the fourth one. This is the end of the trilogy.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, with the Bourne movies, it's always just been like, fight, chase, shaky cam. It's just stylistically not anything that I'm really into at all. I feel like the John Wick movies kind of did the basic sort of like one-man killing machine thing a lot better. And I don't even really love the John Wick movies. So, but people go nuts for this movie. Like, this movie is honestly in a lot of people's top 10 lists for 2007. So, I don't know. I just kind of missed the boat on this one.
Yeah, I watched them. I own them all on Blu-ray when I got them when the Jason Bourne came out. But I don't think I've seen this one.
All right.
I've seen The Identity. I know that.
The number 23 trashy Jim Carrey drama crazy conspiracy movie should be way lower, honestly. Reno 911 Miami, I actually do think is a fun time and is probably about where it should be. Honestly, I think 7 out of 10 is justified for a movie like that.
I mean, Reno 911's great. It's I haven't seen the movie, but I love the
Reno
show.
911 Miami is just kind of like an extension of the movie. There's a really hilarious cameo by The Rock that really subverts your expectations in a crazy kind of way. That's all I'll say about it. Yeah, I don't know. I think Reno 911 Miami kind of underrated as far as just like a nice extension of the film of the TV series in film format.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that one out because I quote like New Boot Goofin every time I put on a pair of shoes. I need to see more Reno 911.
Okay, so Catch and Release. I literally the only reason I saw this is because Kevin Smith plays the best friend. And it's just the most boring, generic romantic comedy you've ever fucking seen in your life.
You saw
But
a lot
Kevin
of
Smith's
movies.
there.
You saw so many movies just because Kevin Smith.
No, you know what? That is going to be a running theme in this list. That's going to be a running theme in this list.
That's
I had
crazy.
just discovered Kevin Smith. Discovered Kevin Smith. So that's, yeah. This is probably not going to be the last time that something like that pops up. Okay, Aqua Teen Hunger Force : movie film for theaters. This movie's fucking crazy. Like, just literally just the existence of this movie is nuts with the marketing campaign that went AWOL. I mean, it just the actual content of this film is just weird as shit. I don't know. Like, I like it, but I don't. The thing is, I kind of feel like Reno 911 Miami can be like a good entry point into Reno 911 for someone who's not familiar with the characters or the vibe of the show. Mm-hmm. Not the same case for Aqua Teen. Aqua Teen, I feel like it's very much not entry level. Like the directions that this movie goes in, how crazy it gets, how meta it gets. You need to be into the Aqua Teen vibe to really get this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? If you were an Aqua Teen kid and Code Geass, I was also someone as a teen that was kind of obsessed with Aqua Teen. I would quote the cybernetic ghost of Christmas past from the future. I would quote him. I would quote his thousands of years ago so many times that it got to the point where it was really obnoxious to my friends. I remember that being a thing that I just ran into the ground. All right, let's see. You're the Dog. Literally don't remember anything about it. I don't even care to look it up. Same with Interview. Sicko, just a boring Michael Moore documentary. We don't really have to go into that. Hairspray. I don't know. We can yada yada through a lot of these, honestly. Hairspray. It's Hairspray. It's the musical. It didn't really stand out to me. I think a 7.5 is about what it deserves.
It's Zac Efron. It's John Travolta in drag. It's not very good.
it's very much kind of an unoffensive movie to me. Just like
it's about racism, but it says nothing.
Alpha Dog, I remember just solely because it was the first time that Justin Timberlake could give it a really good performance. I remember nothing else about the movie. I just remember, hey, look, Justin Timberlake can act.
And then he never did again.
Social Network, sir. Social Network. Come on now.
Fair.
You got to give him.
I just don't like that movie.
You got to give him. Wait, you don't like Social Network?
No, I think it's good. I don't like it.
Oh, sir. Oh, PerGron.
I don't like.
I am one of those people where it is on my Mount Rushmore, my friend.
Really? Okay. I mean, I know a lot of people do. That's going to be my hot take for the movie, for the video. Is I don't really like the Social Network.
Yeah, Rise of the Silver Surfer. I remember liking okay. I think why it's as high as it is I do think it's definitely an improvement over the first Tim Story Fantastic Four movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, not much to say there. I don't necessarily think it deserves to be a 7.5 out of 10. I think that's a little high.
Yeah, probably.
But ranking-wise, I think it's about where it should be.
Yeah. Just maybe like a 6.
The Messengers, I literally don't remember at all. A Mighty Heart is a Christopher Guest mockumentary about folk singers, and I think I liked it back then. I think I would love it now if I revisited it, honestly. Like, having the deep dive that I have into that sort of culture that I was just kind of starting to get into. Like, at this point in my life, I had just kind of discovered who Bob Dylan was. And so now I feel like I would kind of get more of the deep cuts of this movie. Okay. So TMNT, first of all, TMNT is a good movie and genuinely should be an 8 out of 10 and not a 7.5. How the fuck is both Wild Hogs and Shrek the Third above TMNT? That's some blasphemy right there. How is Shrek the Third an 8 out of 10? How is Wild Hogs an 8 out of 10? What is going on here? I honestly think this might be one of the most embarrassing sections of the whole list.
Yeah, no, I take back what I said about the host.
No, that's totally fair. Shrek the Third is an 8 out of 10 movie, guys.
Shrek the Third at 8 out of 10 might be the worst take on this. Like, Shrek the Third is objectively not just the worst Shrek movie, it might be the worst third movie in a trilogy. Like, right. God, what a fucking horrible movie.
Okay, but then it just, like, it doesn't get much better. We have Grindhouse, which, you know, oh god, Dragon's here. Dragon's here. He's in the, Dragon has entered the chat. He says, oh, the self-indulgence.
Yeah, that's what you get for putting Shrek the Third at 8 out of 10.
I know, right? Okay, Grindhouse, like, I feel like I shouldn't have even judged Grindhouse as a standalone movie because it's such a weird product. I remember it being a big deal when it came out, but then no one ever really talks about it anymore.
Except for, like, now that Thanksgiving came out last year, they talked about it for 2 weeks.
True. Dead Silence is an early James Wan movie, and I don't remember it being very good in his filmography, and it's probably way too high.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, The Invasion is a very forgettable kind of like reworking of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and it should not be as high as it is. Okay, here we go. Here's some big ones. I feel like Walk Hard and Superbad both are 8 out of 10 movies. Those scores are accurate.
They're just,
but I feel like they should be higher. I feel like they should be in the top 30.
Superbad, especially. Like, I don't think I've seen Walk Hard, but Superbad needs. This is way too low for Superbad. I'm gonna stand on that hill.
No, that's totally fair. I honestly, I remember. I think the thing with Superbad for me is that at the time, everyone in my high school was quoting it. It was just kind of like oversaturated.
That's fair.
You know, everyone wanted to be fucking McLovin.
Right.
I had just gotten over the Napoleon Dynamite thing, and now fucking McLovin's a thing, and I'm like, oh my god.
If it makes you feel better, I graduated 10 years after this.
And people still want to be McLovin.
And people were still quoting McLovin.
All right, Beowulf. I mean, this shouldn't be as high as it is.
No.
It's just some Robert Zemeckis mocap trash. I think I was just... oh god, Kogios is just totally like ratting me out to Dragon here.
Why you gotta be a narc?
Is a terrible Larry the Cable Guy war movie. Yes, Dragon. Okay, Breach. I don't know a damn thing about Breach or The Invisible, to tell you the truth.
You gave them both an 8 out of 10, Tiki, so you better start explaining yourself.
That's the thing. That's the thing about some of these midpoint movies on this list. I don't remember a damn thing about any of these movies.
Breach is Chris Cooper and Ryan Philippe, and it is a low-level surveillance expert with the FBI. Believes he is accomplishing his dream of becoming a full-fledged agent.
Nothing. Literally nothing.
And The Invisible.
Yeah, what about The Invisible?
2007 is a thriller mystery starring Justin Chatwin. A high school boy is left for dead after being attacked by a troubled teenage girl. As his life hangs by a thread, it is up to the boy's ghost to investigate the crime.
Yes, I remember that. I do remember that movie. God.
That sounds like something I would love if it was, really good or really bad. And apparently,
Rain
8
Over
out of 10,
Me.
it's really good.
Rain Over Me is a pretty decent Adam Sandler movie. Not much to talk about. Decent performance. Hot Fuzz, man.
Low
Hot
is
Fuzz at 8 out of 10 at 46. That's wait. How the fuck is Freedom Writers,
how is
the Hillary
how is the
Swank,
Hillary Swank fucking
perfectly fine little after school special movie, but that is above the second and best entry in the Edgar Wright Coronado trilogy? What the fuck?
It's below. I mean, just here, Hot Fuzz, and this is not to
Oh, this
slight
is
these
bad.
movies.
This is really
Hot
bad.
Fuzz is just from the screenshots below National Treasure 2
Oh
is
man.
below I Am Legend.
I
And
Am
is
Legend I will defend. I will defend I Am Legend. Not above Hot Fuzz,
not
but I Am Legend is I feel like I Am Legend is kind of right where it should be, honestly.
just not above Hot Fuzz. And it's below the Hillary Swank Troubled Youth Writing Program movie.
Ocean's 13 is legitimately my favorite of the Ocean's 11 movies, so
That's fair.
it's not as good as Hot Fuzz, but I do think, I think it's underrated for what it is. Please look up The Seeker, The Dark is Rising, because that's another one all I remember is that it's some sort of Nickelodeon fantasy bullshit.
The Seeker, The Dark is Rising is when his family moves from the U.S. to England. Young Will Stanton, played by Alexander Ludwig, feels like a fish out of water, but he becomes an unlikely hero when he discovers he's in the last line of warriors known as the Old Ones. The Old Ones protect the world from forces of dark.
I literally don't remember a single thing about this movie, and I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And I put
Ian
it
McShane.
Hot Fuzz. Okay, let's just move on. You know what? I will acknowledge Dan in real life. It definitely isn't as high as it definitely should be lower, but it's a decently charming little Steve Carell drama movie.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. Oh, this is getting painful. God damn. Okay, I Am Legend, I will say, I Am Legend for what it is one of the best Will Smith movies of the era. I will defend I Am Legend a lot.
Oh, I think I Am Legend's good too, just not above Hot Fuzz.
For sure. I don't like the ending, but I love the first act. The first act of I Am Legend, just by itself, is seriously like it's among the better blockbuster filmmaking of that decade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you cry when the dog dies. Like it's got all the things.
Okay, the Simpsons movie, honestly, this should be like a 7 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfectly fine, but it's nothing groundbreaking.
The fact you knocked Superbad for McLovin, but you didn't knock the Simpsons movie for Spider Pig says a lot about you. Because that was the
Rod. I'm honestly very surprised that I rank Hot Rod below the Simpsons movie because I loved Hot Rod. I'm actually kind of surprised it's not in my top 30.
Yeah, I mean, it's above the Hillary Swank movie.
Okay, Bug is actually a William Friedkin movie, and that's one I should revisit because it could either be like really bad or it could potentially be like, oh wow, I was onto something by putting it like, among my best of the year.
Right. Below B movie.
Oh, fucking B movie. Wow. B movie at a 9 out of 10. That was Tiki just predicting the meme.
Yeah, Tiki knew what was going on here.
Okay, Shoot 'em Up. Let's talk about Shoot 'em Up because that's a movie no one ever talks about. And it's essentially like it frames a very stereotypical kind of like James Bond-esque sort of bad guys and a spy that's out to get the bad guys. It's like Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny. And Clive Owen plays Bugs Bunny, and frickin' Paul Giamatti plays Elmer Fudd. They're not named Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny, but that's clearly like the performances they're trying to go for.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is super underrated, and people need to check this movie out, especially with the moment that Paul Giamatti's having. This is one of the all-time great Paul Giamatti performances in my book. He is so fun in this movie. I Shoot 'Em Up is seriously one of those like hidden gem 2007 movies. All right. Yes, Dragon, that's kind of the point of doing this, is to show how bad my taste was. Thank you. Okay, The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. I think it's a well-made documentary, but the information in it is hopelessly out of date.
Mm-hmm.
Meet the Robinsons at 8.5 out of 10. I honestly feel like I was being a little generous and kind of simping for the Walt Disney homage stuff in that movie.
I mean, I like this also could be nostalgia. I haven't watched it in forever. But I like Meet the Robinsons.
It didn't really hold up when I did the rewatch for my for ranking all the Disney movies that I did a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It did not really hold up for me.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it. I was doing a rewatch and I just never got through it. But I remember liking Meet the Robinsons, but I don't think it's 8.5, even liking it.
Right.
You know what's not 9 out of 10?
Oh, God.
the B movie.
Or Transformers, for that matter.
Jeez.
I mean, the first original Transformers is the only Michael Bay Transformers that's worth a damn at all. But it's like a 7 out of 10 movie at best, dude.
Yeah, no, it's not 9 out of 10. I mean,
Surf's Up, though. I
Surf's
feel like I hit the nail on the head with Surf's Up.
Surf's Up's great.
Surf's Up is awesome. I love Surf's Up.
As a kid, I didn't like it because I didn't get it. As an adult, I really like Surf's Up.
Black Snake Moan, really uncomfortable. Samuel Jackson has Christina Ricci chained up in his cabin.
That might just be Sam Jackson.
I remember liking the movie, but it's a very uncomfortable premise that probably has not aged well. 28 Weeks Later, I honestly feel like 28 Weeks Later is kind of it's kind of having a renaissance moment now. I feel like people are really appreciating it a lot more than they used to.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this list, I'd probably have it in my top 10, to be completely honest. Like, I love 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later.
That's fair. Stardust. Stardust is a gem. That's another hidden gem of a movie. Stardust is wonderful.
What is Stardust?
Stardust is a Neil Gaiman adaptation.
Aha.
And it's honestly among my favorite Neil Gaiman works. I really love this movie. I really do. I think this movie's pretty special. I would like to return to it. I don't know if it's going to hold up as much as it does in my mind because I have some very specific nostalgia attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, this movie really, for me, does a great job. It's pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say with Once is that my whole thing with Once is I feel like that movie has just gotten better and better and better with age. I feel like it's definitely one of the best movies of 2007. And I would easily swap it on the list with where I have Across the Universe. We will get into Across the Universe when we get to that. Juno and the Golden Compass. I don't know. I honestly think with Juno, I was just going along with the crowd because I don't even remember really liking it that much back then, and I kind of hate it now. I just think the dialogue in Juno is just so pretentious. Like, I think Diablo Cody's definitely like refined her sort of like snarky dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
In Lisa Frankenstein, I think the dialogue in that movie is a lot more tolerable than in Juno. Mm-hmm. But in Juno, it's really just aggressively quirky.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I like Juno, but like I would have it. I think Juno's in the right spot personally, but I can see where it's maybe not, maybe a little annoying.
All
Oops.
right, the Golden Compass. I will honestly kind of low key defend this a little bit. The movie isn't like great, but I really like a lot of the ideas in the series, and I kind of had a moment with the series a little bit where I think this is there is some really interesting concepts, and what I like about this series is that it's a fantasy series that doesn't just feel like a Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings ripoff. It is very much its own thing.
Hmm.
And I do remember Ian McKellen as a polar bear having a Mortal Kombat style fight with another polar bear was
Hmm.
low key one of the more cool movie moments of the year for me.
Oh yeah.
So this movie has its place. I don't think it's a 9 out of 10,
No.
but I still have quite a fondness for it.
I mean, I love the His Dark Materials books. I read them in middle school and into high school, and I love the series on Max, or at least
You
the
see,
first
I
season.
still haven't checked out the series on Max. I've
I
been
think
meaning to.
you would love it. It's got Lin Manuel Miranda.
I know it does. It's Lee Scoresby, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
which is a really weird casting.
That is really weird casting.
um, but like I really like the His Dark Materials. I remember loving the Golden Compass when it came out, probably again because polar bear and that is animal. And there's a lot of animals in
Oh,
the
no, that is the thing that I really liked about it. I really liked how they worked animals into the
hmm
mythology.
I wanted a demon so fucking bad.
I know, right?
I
I did
still
too,
I still
honestly.
do to this day. I still wish we could have that because that's cool as hell. Um,
Okay, Waitress 9 out of 10. I think that's a perfect placement. I think Waitress definitely holds up. The musical just proves that it's kind of iconic.
mhm,
American Gangster. Here's the thing. I feel like I called it based on like this is about where I think the general public would rank this movie. I feel like it's gotten a lot of clout over the years. I don't particularly love it. There's not a lot that stands out to me about it.
mhm,
I remember Ruby D as his mother being a standout role that I was happy getting an Oscar nomination. That's about it.
mhm.
So not much to say there. 300 at 9.5 out of 10 is objectively false.
It's a disgusting overrating, Tiki.
Yeah.
This is a crime, to be honest. Like I am Zack Snyder's number one hater. I hate everything he's ever done. I hate him as a person. I don't
I
know him
mean,
personally.
there's gonna be some painful takes in this top 20, man. There
Yeah,
really will be.
but like 300 is a bad movie, and I'll just say it. And I'm sorry to, I for whatever reason I feel like people in the audience are gonna like 300. And if you do, fuck you. You're wrong. No. Um, 300 is just a bad movie, and Zack Snyder's all style, no substance.
Yeah, I think I was just following the trend. I think I was just like, you know what? I like Sin City, so I gotta like this, right? But no,
Right.
Sin City is so much better than this. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End again. I like even back then I didn't love this movie, so I don't know what the fuck I was doing giving it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, no, that's a. I mean, I love the Gore Verbinski trilogy. I do. I grew up
But
with
at
them,
World's End is
but
easily the weakest of
it's
the
the weakest
three.
of the three easily. And I
Yeah.
don't. And I mean, from my, if I was ranking this personally, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. I think it's fun. I think it's good. I think it's
7.5
wacky.
sounds about right. It kind of deserves to be in the same sort of tier as Spider-Man 3, honestly.
Yeah, like it's fun. I think it's better than the, it's too bad they never made a Pirates movie after it. I wish they had continued the series, but I guess it's better that they didn't. Um, but no, it's the worst of the three for sure.
All right, 310 to Yuma, I think is appropriately. I would rank that like right at the top of the top 20. I think that's kind of a perfect placement for 310 to Yuma.
Yeah, that's a good spot.
Hmm. Of course, one of the earliest James Mangold movies. very standout performance from Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. Really good performances there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lookout, I remember Ebert and Roper fucking simping for this movie, and that's probably why it's as
That's
high
why
as it
it's
is.
there.
Yeah, that is why it's there, because Ebert and Roper were simping for it back in the day. Can you
Classic.
look up the Lookout? I want to say Ryan Gosling was in it, but I'm not completely sure.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
That's who was in it. That's
And
who was
he
in it.
and
That's right.
he plays Chris Pratt.
Oh my god.
That's his character's name. It's Chris
Is that
Pratt.
really his
Yeah,
character's name?
it's Chris
Oh
Pratt.
Okay, we have to talk about Bridge to Terabithia because this is, I feel like, one of the hills that I will die on. All right. I think the adaptation of Bridge to Terabithia is about as good as it could have been, and I think the movie lived and died by the marketing campaign, and the marketing campaign obviously killed it.
Mhm.
But if it weren't for the marketing campaign being what it was, I feel like people would have a much better fondness for this movie. As someone who loves the book, Fred Claus is on the list, Dragon, and honestly, I think I had Fred Claus ranked too low. I appreciate Fred Claus now. So as someone who is really, like, I really love the book. I really do. I think the book is like a pivotal book to give kids around that age where they're discovering what death is. It's like a pivotal life teaching moment for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty passionate about that.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you. I think it's a great movie.
And I think the movie really does a great job of encompassing the book. You know, some of the stuff is a little cheesy. The dialogue is certainly on the nose. But I think Josh Hutcherson and Anna Sophia Robb are just fantastic. Like, both of those kids were just like at the top of their careers. And Anna Sophia Robb hasn't really done much lately. But obviously Josh Hutcherson is really come into his own as an actor recently.
Yeah, I mean, my connection to this movie was being tricked by the marketing into thinking it was a fun little fantasy movie. Being absolutely
You Robert Patrick, your friend Leslie's dead.
just being absolutely traumatized. But I also remember this movie, Anna Sophia Robb in this movie was my first ever crush. So I have nostalgia for it.
Dragon, we got to Spider-Man 3 quite a bit earlier. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, I will say, is one of the better Potter films for me.
All right, I'm gonna say it. I hate the Harry Potter movies. I always
You know what? That's completely and totally valid. I kind of hate them too, all things considered.
I watched them all for the first time in 2020 after like just being in lockdown and being like, I just got to get these over with. I had some like painfully millennial Harry Potter friends.
Oh dear.
That I worked with, and they were like, "You got to watch." So I sat down, I watched them all. I hated them. I have them all on Letterboxd. I reviewed them very, very cruelly. I hate J.K. Rowling as a person.
Well, yeah, obviously, that goes.
But Order of the Phoenix was the only one I gave a positive review to. I really did like this movie.
Oh, okay, there you go. So
it's the only one I like.
Even above Prisoner?
I hated Prisoner of Azkaban.
Really? Okay, that's a hot take in itself.
But my least favorite one was Deathly Hallows Part 2. I hated that movie so much.
Oh, Deathly Hallows Part 2 has so many memes for me. There's so many personal memes in that movie. It's one big meme.
I'd love to just talk how much I hate Harry Potter sometime.
Okay, but yes, I do think this is legitimately one of the best Harry Potter movies. I really do. And here's the thing. I think it's adapting one of the worst books. And then the next movie has the opposite problem. I think Half-Blood Prince is one of my favorite books, but one of my least favorite movies. It's kind of interesting how that worked out, and especially because they were done by the same director.
Yeah.
But really, Emilia Staunton as Umbridge, she fucking carries this movie on her fucking back.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is doing so much heavy lifting in this movie. She's awesome. I think Dolores Umbridge is easily not just the best villain, but arguably the most memorable, like, single character that J.K. Rowling ever came up with. I hate to give that woman any fucking credit, but, yeah. Did I make a list of the top 10 unintentionally funny moments in Deathly Hallows Part 2? That's funny.
All right, the best unintentionally funny moment in any Harry Potter movie is in Chamber of Secrets. It's in the scene where they're like transforming animals into cups or whatever. There is a shot of a mandrill, which is the monkey, Rafiki from The Lion King, in a
Mhm.
cage, and it's jacking off. And it's behind, I think, Emma Watson, and there's just this shot, and it goes on for like 2 seconds, but it's just this monkey just jacking it.
Oh no.
It is so funny that I've rewatched that moment of that movie I've made into memes. So I guess that's probably my second favorite, but that's the most unintentionally funny moment in Harry Potter.
Okay, 1408. I think it's a really good Stephen King adaptation. Um, it's genuinely probably a good movie that holds up. I don't think it's a 9.5 out of 10 though.
Yeah.
Enchanted, honestly, I think Enchanted low-key kind of deserves that spot.
Do you?
Low-key, honestly, yes. I think Enchanted was a moment in 2007.
That's fair. Yeah, if we're looking at it from a time capsule.
Like from a purely iconography point of view, it was pretty iconic.
Yeah. I just think it's Elf.
You're not wrong. I don't know. James Marsden is freaking iconic and Enchanted. Okay, Eastern Promises is. I remember being really hyped up for this movie because of Viggo Mortensen. And I honest to God, I remember next to nothing about this movie except there's a really intense knife fight in a bathroom where Viggo Mortensen is like almost naked and it's super intense. And I remember Viggo Mortensen is like a Russian mobster or something. Other than that, I really don't remember much about this movie. It could honest to God be one of those movies where if I watch it again, it could either like be really forgettable and just kind of like hold up just on the strength of Viggo's performance, or it could be a hidden gem that's like easily one of the best of the year. Like I don't know. I feel like this Easter Promises is one that's totally worth revisiting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. As we get into the top 10, I do feel like my takes start to solidify themselves, and I am genuinely, for the most part, picking good movies.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie Wilson's War, honestly, that should be in the top 10. Charlie Wilson's War just slaps, period. I love Charlie Wilson's War. Have you not seen Charlie Wilson's War?
I have not. This is a...
Put that on your list. Put that on your list. It's one of my favorite Tom Hanks performances. It's the movie that introduced me to the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman. Fucking love Charlie Wilson's War, man.
All right, I will add it for sure.
All right. Kokia says, I love that Tiki remembers the film, that there's a scene where Aragorn's naked. Yeah, I agree, Dragon. I agree. Charlie Wilson's War should have been in the top 10. Away from her, this is very much just another Alzheimer's drama, but Julie Christie was very hyped up to get Best Actress for this movie, which is why I saw it. Now, here's the thing. I feel like movies like this are almost impossible to actually review because they are just definitively not a fucking fun time.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're also very easy to do well and do emotionally effectively. So I just don't, like, honestly, I just tend to avoid movies like this nowadays because I feel like I just don't have the proper emotional capacity to really judge whether or not it's doing it well, you know?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I always feel like whenever I review a movie that's like this, I never know what to do.
All right. Into the top 10, almost. Into the Wild. This is a Stone Cold classic as far as I'm concerned.
I feel like I've seen Into the Wild.
Emil Hirsch. He's
yeah.
He's backpacking to Alaska.
It's funny. I just watched an Emil Hirsch survival movie today,
but not this one.
Not this one. No, I watched
funny.
Prey, which just came out Friday and it fucking sucked. And I'll talk to you about that after.
Yeah, Into the Wild, I think, is a Stone Cold classic. I think it's
Oh, yeah.
iconic to the year. A great Emile Hirsch performance, awesome soundtrack, like captivating cinematography, just really wonderful movie all around. Really left an impact on me. Okay, into the top 10. Knocked Up at 10 out of 10. I don't know, man. I think Knocked Up is genuinely the best of these Apatow movies. I will say that. I do think it holds up in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
But 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10 is
10 out of 10 for Knocked Up. I do remember really loving Knocked Up, though. I do. At the time, I really did love it. I thought it was like an upgrade from the 40-Year-Old Virgin. And I don't know. I don't know if I'd still think that. I think maybe the reason I liked it more than 40-Year-Old Virgin is it felt less gimmicky than 40-Year-Old Virgin. But it still had a lot of the same sort of like trademarks with a really likable cast that's basically playing themselves. Something that wouldn't get old until, a few more movies into that run.
right.
Okay. Yeah, let's go up. Okay, Paris Jetem. This is definitely the most obscure movie to make my top 10. But I still think it's a really good time. Basically, what it is it's an anthology film where a bunch of filmmakers just make these lovely little short films that are basically love letters to the city of Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as delightful as it sounds. Honestly, I think this is a really goddamn good time.
And
this is a really good anthology film.
The list of directors is fucking wild, too.
No, that's what I'm saying. There is a lot of really interesting talent here.
You got my boy Alexander Payne.
Yep.
You got the Coen brothers.
Uh-huh.
You got Wes fucking Craven.
Yep.
Like, it's a crazy, wild list of... Like,
folks, I'm telling you, Paris Jetem is a time. It is a time.
All right. I'm going up one by one so we don't spoil the whole list.
Okay, for sure. Ratatouille at 8. Ooh, I feel like that's a hot take in itself.
This is a crime. It is a 10 out of 10. You are correct. It should be like number 1 or 2.
Yeah. There are a couple movies in my top 10 you're going to be very upset about that are higher than this.
Like, to me, Ratatouille is Pixar's best movie. Like, I stand on that hill. I know I'm not alone. We're few, but we're mighty.
I would like on any given day, I might agree with that. Yeah.
Like,
I think you might get hate for claiming that Ratatouille's mid, honestly.
Yeah, you're getting that hate from me. Ratatouille's amazing.
The thing is, I feel like Ratatouille, if you think Ratatouille's mid, you just like the thing about Ratatouille that I think really makes it special is the fact that it feels like essentially like an indie rom-com.
Yeah.
It's like the art house Pixar movie, essentially.
Right.
Oh, yeah, for him, Ratatouille's a 6 out of 10. Ooh. Wow. Okay.
Sound like my dad. He doesn't.
He sounds like Adam from Your Movie Sucks. I give Ratatouille a 6 out of 10. It's closer to a 7 than a 5. All right. I love you, Adam. I genuinely love him, but... Okay, let's see. Next up. Zodiac, again, Stone Cold classic, should absolutely be in the top 10. I think this is probably about as good of a placement as it could have, honestly.
Yeah.
I think I pretty much got this right.
I'd go like 9, 9.5, but yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I think it should be a 10. I think it's one of Fincher's best movies.
That's fair. Yeah, I won't give you too much hate for it.
Okay, here we go. Across the Universe. This is my single most dated take in this whole list. I fucking hate Across the Universe now, but I simped for it hard back in the day, man. I simped for this movie hardcore. And it should absolutely not be as high as it is. If I were to rate it now, I'd probably rate it like a 6 out of 10 at best. Mm-hmm. But when I was a kid, I thought this movie was a fucking artistic achievement.
This is the one with all the Beatles music, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's super cringe. It's super cringe. It's super duper cringe.
This will forever be on the internet.
I know. God. I mean, there is a subsection of movie that live and die by this movie of the internet, I should say.
I'm sure, and now you're their god.
Oh,
They
God.
worship you.
Okay, number 5, the Darjeeling Limited. Here's the thing: I feel like the Darjeeling Limited is probably the most underrated Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, I can't think of any others that are more.
I really like it a lot. I think the movie really. Here's the thing: it's the first Wes. Like I did see the Royal Tenenbaums before I saw this movie, but I did not get the Royal Tenenbaums. When I saw the Royal Tenenbaums, I was too young to understand the themes, and I was too film illiterate to understand how cool the style was.
Right.
So when I saw Darjeeling Limited, I was old enough to understand both of those things. I understood how cool the style was, even though this is definitely like it's not the most like out there of West, especially compared to what he's doing nowadays. It's visually pretty tame, but it's still pretty intricate with the set design of the train and everything.
Yeah.
And the character work in this movie is honestly, for me, pretty incredible. I think this movie is really underrated when it comes to character work. I think it has some of Wes Anderson's best characters.
Yeah, I can agree with all that.
All right.
Number 4.
Ooh, No Country for Old Men at number 4. Ooh, man.
This one I 100% agree with.
So obviously this is most people's number 1 of the year. It's this or
Yeah.
There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right there where it should be. I honestly kind of forget what number I know what number 2 is. I forget what number 3 is. So scroll up to number 3. Sweeney Todd. Oh, fuck that shit. Yeah, this is another one where this
Tiki,
should not be
Tiki,
even touching the top 20.
your hot topic is showing, Tiki.
No, this is a mess, man. This is a mess. Look, I do think that Sweeney Todd is one of the more ambitious Tim Burton movies, especially out of the stuff that he's done lately in the past 15 years,
Yeah, I mean, it beats Dumbo.
But yeah, it's not great. It's definitely not 10 out of 10. It's definitely not better than most of the movies in this top 10. Yeah. Oh man, this is and the Johnny Depp factor definitely doesn't help either.
Yeah, Sweeney Todd doesn't beat No Country for Old Men,
No, that's a terrible
Zodiac, Ratatouille. I'm gonna say hot topic like it's a dirty word because it is a dirty word, Dragon. Scary Place.
Okay, Atonement. Have you seen Atonement?
Let me look it up. Hold on. Atonement. No, I don't care about the religious atonement. I just want to know the movie. No.
I think this is genuinely one of the best movies of the year. I think it is a genuine 10 out of 10. Not enough people fucking talk about how good this movie is. This movie, for me, was the big star-making performance for both James McAvoy and Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse Ronan especially plays a little shit disturber of a gossipy little brat in this movie, and she is a great villain. She is an incredibly memorable film villain in this movie. And it's like one of her first roles. Like, she's incredibly young in this movie. She's like maybe 13, and she just fucking kills it, man. Like, she is absolutely magnetic in every fucking scene that she's in. Benedict Cumberbatch randomly comes in as a predatory chocolate maker, and no, it's not William Wonka. Willy Wonka.
Is it the unknown?
It might be the unknown.
Is the unknown secretly Benedict Cumberbatch in Atonement?
Maybe
Have we
watch
solved the
Atonement and
Glasgow
find out.
Wonka mystery?
God. No, Atonement, man. There's the filmmaking, the cinematography, the score. I genuinely think Atonement is a masterpiece. It's definitely the most underrated movie of 2007. I don't know about number 2, but I would probably put it in my top 5. Probably along with we'd put Zodiac and Ratatouille into the top 5, bump out Sweeney Todd and probably Darjeeling.
Yeah, put Sweeney Todd at number 1, you mean?
Oh my god. And number 1 is There Will Be Blood, which is like fucking objectively correct.
The right choice. That's why I said Ratatouille at 2.
Like, this is ridiculous how we went through this whole list. There were so many hot takes. There were so many cringeworthy, like, oh god, what was I thinking?
But you got this one right.
I got this one right, man. I got it right. It's even above No Country for Old Men, which I think is objectively correct.
Yeah, sometimes you get them. You calls them as you sees them. And you sees this one right.
Dragon says, okay, There Will Be Blood is a solid choice. You're goddamn right it is.
You have Dragon's approval. Which sounds like a band.
Dragon's approval.
Yeah.
Oh,
man. There should be a podcast, Dragon's Approval, and you just go through movie lists and Dragon approves.
God.
That should be all the top 10 lists from now on with you and Dragon. Instead of Dragon giving his top 10, it's just him approving your list.
What's my Dragon score for the night? Okay, well, any final thoughts on this ordeal, PerGron?
I mean, it's a nice little time capsule into a time that I wasn't really sentient yet. Being a child, I remember the movie I was most excited for in 2008. I remember seeing the trailers in the 2007 movies. The one I was most excited for was Hotel for Dogs. So that is,
man,
that is
what knowing you, that totally checks out. That's probably the movie you'd be most excited for now.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, no, I mean, you got some right. You got some very, very wrong.
I just think it's so fucking funny that There Will Be Blood is like number 1 with a bullet. Like, of course it is.
I look back at like my 2018 list on Letterboxd and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? So
right, that's probably like your equivalent to this.
Right, like I'm looking at this right now and like, I kind of agree with my top 10.
Code Geass, I still to this day have not seen Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium.
We should get Code Geass's approval too.
Oh my god.
Code Geass, do you approve of this list? Do you approve of There Will Be Blood?
Well, no, he doesn't because he thinks Alvin and the Chipmunk should be number 1.
I mean, again, not wrong. Very correct. Everybody loves, Alvin and the Chipmunk. The singular chipmunk, apparently. But yeah, no, it was a interesting list. And I also cannot wait until the end of this year when I have 300 movies to go over in the same style. And then 10 years from now, realizing how fucking stupid I was.
We're going to do a podcast 10 years from now. That's going over that podcast.
Just like, this list is going to be long. I've already at this point got Madam Web not in my bottom 5, so
you know what? That checks out, honestly. That checks out. This year's been fucking rough.
Yeah, it's horrible. Although I've been chatting with one of the directors of one of the worst movies I saw this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched Murder Ritaville, and I've been talking to the director of it, and he's pretty chill.
That's legit. That's legit.
He didn't give me my $10 back for the movie, though.
Oh god. All right. So big thanks to Monkey, Code Geass, Blue Dragon 5. I know Walter White has 2 copies of that movie Dragon. You don't have to remind me. I know this. I remember. Okay, Monkey says adds Megorium to potential show you list. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, okay, so yeah, this has been fun, guys. We will see y'all later. Have a good one. Have a good weekend.
See you later.